Okay, hello again, and welcome to Ljomandi Heilsuviska part 3. And again, I would like to check that you can see and you can hear. So if you could type that in the chat box, whether you can see and hear, that would be awesome. While I'm waiting for people to answer me, then I think I should just go ahead and assume that everybody can see and hear, and just jump right into it. So what we have as the very biggest mistake that health-conscious women make when they want to have a more or create a more healthy lifestyle for themselves, but they end up confused and exhausted, so they give up. So the very biggest mistake is, see, I actually didn't even write it in here. I'm sorry about that. It's like choosing something, choosing choosing healthy changes or doing something healthy without being clear on whether it's relevant for you or not. I can't believe I forgot to put this in this PowerPoint here. So we all know, and I think I talked about this before, it's, you know, it's very common that people buy some supplements, like some vitamins or some herbs or whatever, but they don't finish using them. So when you visit people, you will often see all kinds of supplements, either in the kitchen cupboards or the kitchen table or in the bathroom or whatever. And part of this is because they are bought spontaneously, without really checking into, is this really, you know, the best thing for me right now? And then you get confused, well, because then you hear about something else and maybe that's better, so you don't finish the first thing. Now, I think it's important to have in mind that there's usually more than one thing that can help you. And now I know why I'm not seeing the answers, actually. I'm going to just go see. Yeah, now I see you can see and hear me. Sorry, I was in the wrong place. So very seldom is there only one correct answer. There's usually several things you can do, and they're all equally good. But it's so important to get it in the big picture. Now, the other thing is, like everything in health, just like with clothes that goes in and out of fashion, it's the same thing with the things that has to do with natural health. And if you read health magazines, or even just to have your ears out there, maybe you have heard that the new fashionable thing is turmeric. Rotin, and suddenly you can buy it everywhere. And you couldn't do that for, you know, just half a year ago or a year ago, but suddenly that came into fashion, so now it's possible to buy it and it's really being promoted. Some years ago it was the goji berries, and then it was raw chocolate, and then it was this, and then it was that. And I'm not judging any of these because they're all actually excellent things, but just pointing out the fact that these things, they go in and out of fashion just like anything else. And the thing that is in fashion, that's the one thing our mind took on to as the one thing that might help us. Whether, you know, that might be true or not. And it's also, you know, when we talk about this fashion again, it's like when something about health comes into fashion, just for example, say the turmeric roots. What happens then that the people that are importing it, they start doing a lot of promotion around it so that they can sell more, because now it's fashion. So they push it and push it and push it on you, and they will give you all the reasons why this is the one thing that's going to heal all your problems forever. And I'm exaggerating here, but a lot of times when you read about something either in the newspaper or you know, one of these health magazines, or you know, wherever you find these things, it's very often the importers are putting out there the things that they want you to buy so that they can do a profit on it. So there's this element behind it also. And the last part is a lot of the things in the natural health business are talked about or presented to you as a magic pill, as a cure-all for all your problems. And they have all these stories to back them up. And I'm not saying these stories are lies, because yes, they are true. You know, it's very important to hear how it works for other people. But again, it might not be the right thing for you. And this is what we always need to come back to. You know, who are you in your life and in your body? And so I believe that what we really need to do is just remember the wise woman approach, which is really about, I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of slow food. Slow food is about growing your own food and eating it. It's kind of like slow, it comes slowly to you, so it's a whole process, and usually it's very local also. And it started in Italy, and out of that slow food movement, you know, they came all thing of it, slow schools, slow travel, slow cities, all kind of slow thing. And another one thing that came out of it is slow medicine also. So natural medicine is a slow medicine. It doesn't mean it doesn't work, but it takes longer time than just having a magic pill. And I'm actually not even sure magic pills do exist. Even if you take antibiotics, you still have to take them for a week or so. And then you might as well take some herbs, or just say you go to the doctor for sore throat, for example, and you get, or laryngitis, and you get the antibiotics to help you heal it. And you have to take that several days. What is just as effective is an essential oil blend that is called Thieves. You take it exactly as many days and you get exactly the same healing results, but rather than getting back to where you were before you got sick, the Thieves actually adds an increased amount of health, so you're even better before you get sick. And this Thieves oil, it was there was actually research done in it. So they had this chamber when they had filled with all kind of viruses and bacteria, like even the scary ones like cholera and typhoid and, you know, all kinds of flu, and I don't know, you know, I don't have the whole list of them. And then they put the Thieves essential oil blends in there, and the Thieves essential oil blends killed off 99% of the viruses, the illness-inducing viruses and bacteria that were in there. And this is again where we see an example of natural medicine being intelligent and self-organizing, because the Thieves oil, it will just kill off the things that make you sick, but leave all the good things in your body. Whereas if you take antibiotics, it will just go and kill everything it sees. So even if you think of natural medicine as slow, it doesn't have to be slower than, you know, buying something in an apotheke, in a pharmacy, or going to the doctor and get a prescription. But we are used to thinking of it that way. So I believe it's important that when it comes to everything about natural health, and when you begin to think about, okay, I have this health problem, what can I do to solve it? That we really, really keep our feet on the ground and use our common sense. So health is personal and individual. What is true for you isn't true for everybody. So one size does not fit everybody when it comes to health. You are a very unique person with a very unique body, and this body is very different at different times in your life. So a unique person with unique body that has unique needs at unique times in your life. And we have to have all that in mind, which is so important to really get down and get grounded and think about it calmly and use our common sense. Instead of our mind likes the new shiny object, our ego likes to chase the new shiny object, because maybe that's the one thing that will finally get us to stop suffering or be sick or whatever it is. But the whole thing about the new shiny object is it often doesn't live up to the promises. So again, feet on the ground and common sense. And remember the wise woman approach. We start with level 1, what's a lesson, 2, the food, 3, how much can we do with natural medicine, and then we go higher and higher. So you're a unique person, and what you need at different times in your life varies. So for example, you're going through a very, very stressful time in your life and you have a lot of pressure. It could be work-wise, it could be, in your family or whatever. So maybe what you need to do now is not go and pump weight at the gyms, but you need to attend a yoga class, because you really need to slow down instead of like pushing yourself even more to lift those weights. Also, when people are stressed and under pressure for a long time, they typically need to eat more minerals, because stress and pressure burns up minerals. And even sleep more. And I know I already talked about sleep, but even how much you sleep or need to sleep, that varies according to what's going on in your life. So if you, for example, I have an example here in the middle, and you're on a meditation retreat. If you meditate, you typically don't need to sleep as much. Whereas if you do heavy physical work, you might need to sleep an extra hour. So it all varies. For example, if any of you have ever lived in the US, you may know that you have a tendency, because of the way the American people eat, that you just gain weight. I know that most people who spend a month or more in the US, they actually gain weight. Probably 1 kilo per month they spent there. So maybe you have been in the US and you have been traveling around as a tourist for months, and you've been eating all this tourist food here and there, and suddenly you can't fit in your pants anymore. So then you come home, and of course what you need is maybe not going to a yoga class and meditate. Maybe you need to do some power walking, or some running or some aerobic class to start burning off that extra fat. And you need to adjust your diet so that you can lose that extra weight that just came because of the bad food. Another example, if you have been for half a year's meditation retreat in India, where all you have been eating is very, very, very simple vegetarian food, and you come back here to Iceland, you got to ease back into life gently, because you've really been in a very protected space. And you can just jump in and start, picking up a heavy exercise regimen, or just start eating the normal food that may be heavy in sugar and coffee and meat or whatever. You kind of need to take into account where you're coming from. Or if you have become pregnant, again, a pregnant woman, besides having some funny ideas about what is okay to eat in the first 3 months, has different needs for what she needs to eat. Or, for example, you might have undergone an emotional trauma, to say a divorce or the death of a loved one, or a teenager, you find out your teenage son or daughter was on drugs, like something very, very dramatic. And things like that, they can really just totally crash your body. And again, if that happens, you have to work with that. So I have a friend who actually experienced exactly this with the emotional trauma. And she has very gift, but she's been doing very well with it for years. And then this trauma happened in her life, and it was a very severe trauma. And her Verwegewicht, her fibromyalgia, went through the roof. And it cost almost a year of her life, where she slowly had to get her really focus on getting her fibromyalgia symptom-free again. And she did. The last time I talked to her, she was doing really, really good. But she really had to adjust, because that fibromyalgia vævegicht really got triggered, and suddenly she has to do other things, and what she did before the trauma is not what she could do after. So we always have to vary. One of the things we like people to get to in the school is when your body gets clean, it actually will tell you very, very precisely what it is it needs to eat. So, for example, I just recently, probably a year or two ago, I was almost addicted to the chlorella tablets. Chlorella is an algae that's very high in chlorophyll, the bladgræna, and very high in minerals. And I just kind of picked them up. I was just curious to try them out. I have heard that Sola had used them just like as a thing to put in your salad, and so that sounded like a good idea, and I knew it was healthy, so I wanted to try it, and suddenly I just couldn't get enough. It was like the best nummy, the best candy I could ever imagine, and I ate them, and I ate them, and I ate them, and I went with it because I knew, you know, obviously my body was craving it, so it was something there that my body really needed. And I remember mentioning it to Lilja, my partner here in the school, and she took a look at my eyes. I'm going to talk a little bit about the eyes anymore. And she said, yeah, it's, you know, it's the spleen. It's a little bit weak, so you probably need this extra boost for your immune system to really get it up. And both the minerals and the bladgræna, the chlorophyll, really helps build the immune system. And there's a very strong correlation between the amount of oxygen in the blood and your health. So less oxygen in your body means more sickness. High oxygen content means more health. And the bladgræna, the chlorophyll, really infuses your body with the oxygen. So that was one of them. So the important thing to remember here when you go about, you know, should I do this or should I do that, and what's the right thing for me, and how in the world can I figure out what is the thing I should choose right now, is that healthy living is not just about what worked 10 years ago or worked 1 year ago or what works right now. And even if it works right now, you might have to change it down the road. So we need to have that flexibility still with our feet firmly planted in the facts that we're dealing with, and then make our choices based on that. So living a healthy life is about knowing what to do when life puts extra demands on you and your body, knowing how to make those choices that support you and supports your body so that who you are becomes a vessel for the higher power out there, and that you really shine and become a glorious you. So health truth number 11 is that your healthy lifestyle, it actually needs to vary with time according to your needs at any given time. So how do we address it in the school? I have talked before about how how it's so important when you do natural medicine and you look at the whole person in whole life context. So it's not just about what they eat, but or what are the symptoms or this or that. It's like, what is the whole life situation? And how we address it in the school is that we have this 12-page heilsufarssaga, the 12-page case history form that all our students get to fill out when they come into the school. So we can really begin to see the whole picture, and that takes you through all the physical aspects and into some of the emotional, mental aspects. And then we have each new student coming in for an interview, you know, a viðtal with typically me, sometimes also Lilja. And the way it works in the school is that my area of expertise is very much the mental and emotional and spiritual, and Lilja's is very much the physical. She's brilliant as that. So this is typically how we split up the work between us, even though there's a lot of overlap. So we see everybody who comes into the school for a long interview, and then we have recurring interviews throughout the years. Either the students request it, or there's a yearly interview where they come and talk to me, so we can see where are you, how can I help you with your personal transformation, what's going on in your life right now, and just send them on, besides what we are doing in each class. We also ask our students to bring a matadagbok, so that we can really see what is your typical diet and begin to make changes from that. So in the school, we have people coming with a wide range of eating habits. So some people come in and they are on 100% raw food and they know everything about it, and then other people come in with the typical Icelandic traditional food, and there's a wide difference between it. This is like the two extreme of the spectrum. Most people are somewhere in between. But that means that we don't give all of our students the same advice according to how they can improve their diet. It is so important to start with where you're at and make changes from that. So somebody who's always doing very great with a lot of raw food, we might just look at, okay, what is your raw food consistent of, and suggest, well, you add this and this and this, so it becomes more balanced. Where somebody who comes from a traditional Icelandic diet, we're going to ease them into something more healthy, unless our student comes with some very severe health problems, then we'll go into a more strict diet. But typically, it's better to make a slow transition, because that's then your new food choices. They tend to stay with you. If you go to from one extreme to the other, you end up swinging back and forth as a pendulum. So we don't want that. We just want to make steady progress. And let me just get some water here. Excuse me for a second. So what we also do is we look into the eyes, and for what we call the uppgreining, the eye analysis, and that's both the iridology, the lithimnugreining, and the sclerology, the hvítugreining. So what the eyes can tell us is what's happening in your body that creates your symptoms. So remember, the same symptoms can have different causes. So the fact that one person has, for example, headaches, migraines, could come from the digestive system, whereas from another person it could be from the neck or from the thyroid. It can be all kinds of reasons behind it, and the eyes will tell us that. So I'm going to show you a little bit about the eyes in just a few minutes. The eyes also tell you what is happening in your body on a level that cannot be measured by today's technology. It's called subclinical. So yes, you have all these diagnostic machines, but they can only measure so far. The eyes will tell you on a finer level. And there was something else I was going to say, but I have forgotten that for just a second here. So anyway, let's get going. I'm going to show you an eye here. This is my eye. And I want you to just take a second to look at it. So you can see there are different patterns, different colors, some spot, some darker spots, some lighter spots, something orange. So I'm just going to show you a little bit, just a tiny little bit about what you can see in your eye. So if I take the cursor over here, so if you see this place here, you can see the fibers, and the fibers are these white lines that goes from the middle of the eye out. The fibers here, they are very far apart, whereas over here they are very close together. So when you have an eye with a lot of space between the fibers, like you have here, typically means that the person was not born with a very strong body. So they have to be more gentle with their bodies. Now, this is only one of my eyes. When you see both of my eyes, you will see that it's not really a very strong body. If, on the other hand, you see tight fibers like this through the whole iris, this is a person who is born with the gift of a very strong body. And they can typically ask more. And when you have them really, really, really tight together, then you get those people who think that relaxing is climbing a mountain. Whereas for people like me, who has this more open fiber structure, relaxing to me means lying down on the sofa and reading a book. So everybody's different, and it's so fun to see this in the eyes. Now, the orange color that you see here, that means that my pancreas, my breeze, is sensitive. And this is something I was born with. I can't necessarily change it, but it's something I need to be aware of. And the ways it shows me is that unless I'm careful, I get the crashes with the sugar blood. Sorry, the blood sugar. I got that totally turned around. Okay, so the blood sugar. And I have to be careful not to eat too much sweets because my body can't handle too much of it. But most of the time, it's no problem. It doesn't bother me. I'm just aware that I have this weakness. Another thing, when you see a lot of white in the eyes, like you see around here, sometimes you will see eyes that has a lot of white in it. It usually points to the body being rather acidic, meaning surlikam, and there's a strong correlation between an acidic body, surlikam, creates health problems. So we want to get it more alkaline. We want the likam to be more basic. As you can see here, I could definitely do with get some of the acidity out of my body. So if you look at the kvitograining, what you're looking at here is like things like this. When you have a red line like this, I like to think of them as red worms. It doesn't sound very nice, but when it's like thick red line like this, it usually tells you that the corresponding place in your body is struggling to function well. And if you keep pushing it, you can start having symptoms. So you can see there's all kinds of line here, and they tell all kinds of things, and we have devoted a lot of times. But the kviter, the sclera in the eyes, it gives you a very clear picture of what's happening right now in the body, whereas the litemne, the iris, gives you more a picture of what were you born with, what weaknesses and strengths were you born with. So this is an example of something is active in my body here, and I believe that's I actually can't remember what this one is. This is Lilia's area of expertise. But anyway, there's something going on here in my body. I want to show you a little bit also what happens. So I said in the first Ljomandi Heilsuviska, I gave you my story that I was very sick with the síþreyta. Now the line that is coming down here is like from straight up, 12 o'clock when I look straight up. There's a line here, and that has to do with life force. And you can see it's kind of thick and red here, but it's not shining red like the other one. So what happens when you start healing something, it begins to fade. So this line here, 7 or 8 years ago when I was in my síþreyta, it was like a big fat red worm that was just coming straight down from 12 o'clock. But now it has faded because I have healed my síþreyta and I have more life energy. It's really incredibly fascinating what you can see in the eyes. So when we look at health, we think of the big seven, or as Lilia has translated, the Hauen Shu. This comes from Dr. Melmauer, or Leonard as we call him, Dr. Leonard, who is a top iologist in the world. He's a really top specialist in the litemne-greining, iridology, and the Kvite-greining, which is sclerology. And we are so fortunate to get him to come over and teach the advanced class, the Framhaldsøkfræði, the advanced iology, for our third-year students. And he has also been a naturopath, a naturlæknir, for 40 years or so. He has unbelievable amount of knowledge, and not only that, he is one of the best people you will ever be around. So anyway, he put this together about health. So the big seven. So of course, as I talked about before, is the pure diet. You gotta make sure that the food you eat supports your health. And it is not just about losing your health and getting it back. Well, it could be for you, but in my case is that I want to, on a day-to-day basis, have a diet that totally supports me in living my best life, and so that I don't lose my health again. I talked about number 2, which is adequate rest, meaning getting enough sleep and getting enough rest. The human body is designed by God, or has evolved with a need for rest. And if we ignore the need for rest, we have to pay the price for it. And rest is not just sleeping, it is also resting outside sleep. How much that is, again, depends on your life, your body at any given time. The right exercise. We are not really talking so much about exercise in the school because it's covered very well elsewhere. But some people enjoy walking, some people enjoy running, some people enjoy horseback riding, some people enjoy yoga, some people enjoy going to the gym. And it varies. And some people enjoy dancing at home or dancing in class. There's so many different ways of moving your body. And it probably changes which form of exercise is the best one for you right now. I do believe, though, that taking a walk outside is one of the best things all of us can do for ourselves. So number 4 is natural hygiene. It's hreinleiki. It's staying clean. So it's making sure that our food is clean, our water is clean, our house is clean, the clothes we wear is clean. And this is where we go in also and look at even the energy environment is clean. So clutter, for example, if you have a lot of stuff in your house and it's just all over your home, it drains your energy. It can be places that drain our energy. For example, I go to Kringland, and after an hour there, I'm totally exhausted, even if I'm not really doing anything. So there are places that really drain our energy. This is also what you look for at the natural hygiene. It's like clean environment. You know, having plants in your home that create the negative ions and charge it with energy and brings oxygen. So there's so many things we can do, and we can use the natural products. We can recycle, to be gentle with our planet. There's so many good things to do. Number 5, right occupation. Now this is one that's very near and dear to my heart, because it's a long time ago. Back in 1991, I did an exercise to help me figure out what was my purpose in life. And I made the decision back then to follow my heart and follow my purpose in life. And it has by no means always been the easy thing to do, but it has always, always, always been the most rewarding job I could ever have. So what kind of work you have, your work should be something that makes you feel good about yourself and not make you dread Monday morning. I love Monday mornings because I can get back to work. I'm so excited about it. Whereas the few times in my life where I have tried having a job, it's like, oh, Monday morning back to work. Oh, can't stand it. I wish I didn't have to go. So it is important for your mental, emotional well-being that your job is something that makes you feel good about yourself, that brings something positive to you. And it doesn't mean that everybody has to follow their life purpose, but there has to be something positive and not just a paycheck for going to work. I mean, sometimes if you love being with your colleagues, you love the people you're working with, it doesn't really matter what you're doing because you're getting so much out of being with the people there. So again, everybody, it's different for everybody. So number 6, life positive in environment. There's a saying that you become like the 5 people you spent the most time with. So if I ask you to look at the 5 people that you spent the most time with, who are they? Are they positive people? Are they people you want to be like? Do they add something positive to your life? So I often ask myself when I have to make choices, is this going to bring something positive to me in my life, or is it not? And that's something I use to help me make decisions. Is it going to add more positive and good stuff to my life, or is it going to take away some of the good stuff? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, sometimes I don't know, and then I will just have to try it out. And again, the life positive environment is also about being out in nature, you know, clean air, clean water, feeling comfortable in your own home. Sometimes it's about having the kind of clothes that you feel comfortable wearing, the colors that you love. Sometimes life positive environment is having lots of bright colors in your home. Whereas, you know, there's typically a tendency to choose your home. Your interior design can be sort of tone on tone, and sometimes that's wonderful. And other times, you know, there's this burst of joyful energy, but just having bright colors in your home without it being something that hurts your eyes. It can still be beautiful colors and lots of them. And you just walk into your home and you feel happy immediately because of all these colors. So that's a life positive environment. Now the last one is having a spiritual life, a spiritual connection to a higher power. There's a very famous saying that we are not human beings on a spiritual journey. We are spiritual beings on a human journey. And for me, at least, that's very, very true. Having a meditation practice, or just a way where you sense or feel or are aware or speak with a higher power, a guardian angel, your spiritual guide, God, the spirit, the great mystery, the goddess, the light. It doesn't really matter, but there's something so deeply and profoundly nurtured than when we create this spiritual connection that somehow I feel that we don't really feel right about ourselves and our lives until we have that spiritual connection with a higher power or with something that is so essential for us human beings. To really be happy for real is to have that spiritual connection and find the joy in knowing you are not alone. And I think that is so important. So these are the big 7 that we talk about in the school, or the how and sure, as she has translated it. So when you start thinking about how do you create a healthier lifestyle for yourself, one of, how do I say it, it's like before you can get anywhere, you have to know what you want. Just knowing what you don't want is not likely to get you anywhere. So for example, usually when I'm in front of a live audience, I will demonstrate this, but now I have to try to talk you through it. So imagine me sitting here in my chair in front of the computer, and I'm sitting here and I'm becoming very aware that I actually don't really like to sit in this chair. So I stand up. And then stand here. And after a while I realize I actually don't want to stand right here in front of the computer either. So I take a step to the right. Then after a while I realize that's not where I want to be either. So I take another step to the right. And that's not where I want to be either. So when you come from a place of knowing what you don't want, your progress is very uncertain and takes a long time, and you might go off in the wrong directions because you have no idea where you want to end up. Now, if I was sitting, you know, and if I talk you through the opposite example where I'm coming from a place of knowing what I want, I'm sitting here in my chair, and it begins, of course, with knowing what I don't want. I'm sitting here, okay, I don't want to sit in the chair, so what do I want to do? Well, I actually want to go out in the kitchen and get a glass of water. And I just stand up and walk straight out in the kitchen and get a glass of water. So there's no hesitation. There's not these uncertainties or having these steps to figure out if this is where I want to be or that is where I want to be. It's a much easier, straightforward progress. And the motivation is very, very strong because I know where I want to go. So this is actually part of what's called the structure of success. And I'm going to just talk you through this a little bit. So you have a vision. It's like this is the result you want to create. If you want to go somewhere, you have to know where it is that you want to go. Otherwise, you're not going to get there. And the more clear you are on where you want to go, the sooner you are going to get there. What you also need to know is to be very, very clear on what exactly it is that you have right now. I mean, what are the basic facts of your life now? Not how you wish it to be or how you hope it to be, but just what are the actual facts. And they can sometimes be very, very painful to look at. So when you can hold both the facts of your life right now and the life you want to have, if you can kind of hold both of them inside your mind at the same time, or even emotionally hold both of them at the same time, there's a difference between them. There's a gap between them. And that gap creates an inner tension. Now, everything in nature works in that when there is a tension, nature is going to do everything it can to get rid of this tension, which is what I call seeking resolution here. So this is a vision where you want to be. This is what you have right now. This is a tension that comes when this is different. And nature wants to get rid of this tension. So what happens if you can hold both of them, both what you have and where you want to go, is that the universe is going to help you move this one closer and closer and closer to where you want to go. You don't have to know how to get there, because that's the universe, it's the lives, it's the higher powers, it's God's job of finding that out. You just have to be able to hold these two different perspectives of your life, both what you have and what you want it to be, hold them at the same time. And then little by little by little you'll be drawn up here. And this is actually the method I use for creating anything in my life. Even the school was created with this. I I met with Lilja, and we talked about, you know, do we want to create the school? That was our vision. How could we imagine it to be? What do we have now? Well, we had this and this and this. And then we just held both of those at the same time inside of us, and little by little by little, we were shown the way to get up to the day that we actually started the school. So we never really worried too much about the how, because it always showed itself. Now, I know that there's one woman who works with natural medicine. When she meets her client the very first time, this is actually the process she takes them through, figuring out what kind of lives do they want, and what exactly is it that they have in their life right now. And the reason she's doing this, exactly this, becoming very, very clear and create a strong inner tension, because that makes people motivated to make those changes so that they actually get up to the vision, that the vision becomes the new reality. So I want to take you through a little exercise, looking at what you want for you. So, how do you want to feel about yourself? So on a scale from 0 to 1, if at 10 you feel totally fantastic about yourself, and at 0 you hate yourself, where are you at exactly right now, today? If you have to give yourself a number of how you felt about yourself, because between 0 and 10, what is the number? And how do you want to feel about your life? The same scale, on a number between 0 and 10. If at 10 you love your life and at 0 you hate your life, where are you at with how you feel about your life today? What's the number? And if you go down to number 3, how do you want to live? Are you living your life the way you want to? Again, number between 0 and 10. Are you living your life the way you want to? Are you only halfway living it the way you want to? So this helps you to really see where are you at right now and where do you want it to be in the future. And it's important to really take time to actually think into the details of this, because the stronger your inner tension, the more likely you are to get there. So, based on all this information I just went through, the 12-page Heilsufarssaga, the interview, the Marta-dagbók, and the eye analysis, and then what do they want? In Heilsumeistaraskólinn, we then come together and create a 3-month self-healing program for each student that is holistic, because it incorporates both the body and the mind. It is integrated because we take all the different levels of, for the Wise Woman approach, 1, 2, 3. Sometimes we go into number 4, and just integrate them all so that we really create a comprehensive, like a program of a healthy lifestyle that comes in from each area of your life, from each angle. And it's multi-dimensional, because we go the whole body, mind, spirit, energy, oils, herbs, food, exercise, hot and cold baths, we do the whole thing. And eventually it becomes transformational when you go through the program. And this exactly is, we give this to the students in the beginning when they come into the school, and then the whole 3 years in the school is about the students learning how to do this for others. So through the 3 years you get all the little bit of, all the pieces that we put into creating this fantastic self-healing program. And it is a very, very, very powerful program. I'm going to share some success stories with you next time, so that you can hear what people have gotten out of it. So next time will be Monday, next Monday, klokken 7. and that will be the last part of the Ljomandi Heilsuviska. And next time we're going to go in and look at, you know, what are the details of one of these 3-month self-healing programs that we put together. And I'm also going to talk about some other things, and I didn't put it down here. And I haven't quite exactly decided which one, so that will be a surprise. But definitely, I look forward to seeing you again next time and share more of all these wonderful things we are doing and teaching in this most beloved school of ours. Okay, so thank you so very much, and I'll catch up with you next Monday. Thank you.